Welcome to my channel. In this video, what I'm going to do is to show you different parts of Cisco vManage and SD-WAN. This is a topology that I'm using, but it doesn't really matter whether this topology is in your lab environment or in real environment. What you're going to do is to check different places inside Cisco vManage graphical user interface to do the configuration. And I'm going to show you some of the most important information in here. First of all, you should know the version of the vManage that I am using. Right now it is version 20, but I believe the version 21 is out. And to know about this, all you need to do is to go to maintenance upgrade here. You can see that there are software upgrade. If I just click on that, it will tell you the version that you are running right now. You can see that the current version for vEdges is 20.6.1. For vManage and vBond are also going to be the same. I have Cisco C8000V, and you can see that this is right now turned off. But you can see that it is version 17.6.1. Something interesting about the versions that we have in Cisco devices for SD-WAN and Viptela devices for SD-WAN, you can see that the first part, of course, is going to be different. For Cisco, for example, this is version 17, but for Viptela it is version 20. But in the second part, you can see that 6.1, you can find the same thing in here, 6.1. This means that these are going to be almost the same version. Let me zoom in a little bit so that you can see much better. So this is where you can find some information about the version, and also if you want to upgrade it, you're going to meet here. I'm going to go back to here one more time, but let's go back to dashboard, to main dashboard. These are there are some very important information that you can see in here. For example, in the summary part up here, you can see that we have some information about the number of vSmarts, the number of vManages. Right now I have 6 vManages as a matter of fact, but 3 of them are down, 1 vBond and 1 vManage. You know that when you want to increase the number of vManages, you go with odd numbers. That is because you need to have a quorum when there is a problem in one of the vManages configurations that we have. But the configuration could be done on any of the vManages, and they're going to kind of synchronize the configuration if they are in one cluster. And if you just check here, you can see that I have 6 sites here. CH is here, C8000V in this part. The rest, of course, are Viptela vEdges. You can see that this one and these 2 sites, site 3, site 5, and site 6 are down. So this is why you see it says 3 unavailable and 3 vManages available here. Also, on the right, you can see that it says the number of reboots that we have had during the past 24 hours. If you see the number more than 0, you can just click on that. That's going to give you some information about the time that the reboot has happened. Also, certificate status is very important on the right. How can you understand what certificates are used? You can just click on this menu here, go to configuration, and go to certificates. You can click on this, and there are just different categories up there. The vManage list, this is the list that I have created inside Cisco website. And in there I have, because I have introduced some VH Cloud devices, and if I just go down, you can see that there are some CSR 1000V devices. These are kind of obsolete as a matter of fact. And also some C8000Vs, these are more recent as a matter of fact. A better replacement for CSR 1000V is going to be C8000V. And you can see that the ones that I have used has a specific badge with a check inside that on the left, and it gives me some information about where it has been used. Instead of password, you can see this is a password which is called the token in here. We have some replacement. You can see this here. And on the right, if I just move to the right, you see that it says this has been used in this specific time, and the name of the device is CH Site 3. The system IP is this, the IP address is this, and based on this information, you can understand which one which one of the devices has used this certificate. Also on the right, you have some information. You can invalidate the certificate. You can go with staging phase here, or you can validate the certificate. The reason that you do not see valid on the right is when I imported this file, I didn't put a check next to validate the devices, and you see that all of the devices by default are invalid. There are no specific reason to just keep the devices invalid. What I am doing here is just one step more than normal validation, and I have to click on this valid button so that this certificate can be used for the devices. That is just, I want to have more control over what certificate I'm using. I'm not going to squander my certificates here. But of course, you can just validate all the certificates in the beginning of importing. Also, there are some certificates for controllers. You can click on that and you can see that this is the certificate serial that you have in here. The certificate here has been issued by a CA. If I just go to my topology, you can see that my CA is in here, a certificate authority, which is a Windows machine, as a matter of fact, with certification authority installed on that. You can have a Linux machine or any other machine. In reality deployment, of course, you have some kind of, let's say, this topology. You have a CA on the internet, such as VeriSign, Microsoft. You can buy certificates from there, and then you have a certificate server in your network, which is most of the time offline. For the first time, of course, it's going to be online, and you're going to install the certificate you have bought from CA on that. Then you're going to issue some certificates for some other subordinate servers in your network, and you're going to, offline this certificate authority in your network and have a backup of that. Keep it in a very safe place. The subordinate certificate servers can have subordinate certificate servers as well. Let's say that, for example, these are going to be my data center, but the other subordinate servers are going to be deployed to different sites, and they are going to issue the certificates for different devices. In lab environment, of course, I have only one certificate authority. That's going to be okay. Now, going back to here, these certificates have been issued by that certificate authority, which has received its own certificate from a certificate authority on the internet, such as VeriSign, like I said. Going back to here, if you want to see some information about the certificate, you can just click on this button. There's a certificate sign-in request, or CSR. You can click on that and you can see the CSR. You can use the CSR to issue a certificate, and then you can install the certificate by just clicking on this install certificate button up here. Now, this button does not care what kind of device you are going to install the certificate on. So you do not really need to say, I am installing this certificate for vWAN, for vSmart, or vManage. It is going to understand which device the certificate belongs to, and it is going to install it for you. So also, I can reset the requesting or invalidate the certificate. Right now, I'm not going to do anything. After you have done this certificate installation, what you need to do is to make sure that this is sent to vBond. You most likely are going to do this once, but whenever there is a change, you need to do this so that vBond knows about that. vBond is going to be the first device that all VHs are going to contact with. That is why we need to have information about the vSmart and vManage in vBond. Otherwise, the pairing, or let's say the onboarding, is not going to happen. Going back to dashboard, main dashboard, you can have some information about the licensing. These are the licenses that have been used, like I said. If I just click on that, I can get some information. Here, the control status says that the controllers are up. I click on that, it is going to give me information about the devices that are up. vSmart, VH Site 1, VH Site 2, and VH Site 4 are the devices that are up right now. And some of the devices are partially up, some of them are controlled down. What does this mean, and what does this mean? The control down means that there has been attempts to create a TLS session between the VH and the vBond, but that was not successful. Partially means that that is kind of successful, but not fully up and operative. So if I just click on control down, you can see that it says that this is the device model, the device site, the device IP, and the reason is unreachability right now. You can, of course, check for the reachability. You can click on real time and get some information about that. But right now, I have no information about that. Like I said, that's because the device is down. I'm going to click on the back button to take me back to here. If I just click on control up and go to here, you can see real time is available in here as well. Clicking on that is going to give me information that is pulled from that specific device here, and you can just check to make sure that everything is alright. And also there is a refresh button up here. So let's go back to main dashboard one more time. The managed inventory is the number of devices that have been authorized, deployed, or in a staging mode. I have no device in a staging mode because I have onboarded all the devices, so you can see this. They are deployed and also they are authorized, which means that all the devices have received the certificate and the certificate is valid. So that is the information that you see in this part. But on the right, there are health information which are very important. Right now, the connectivity is available for 3 of the devices. You can see why, of course. Going back to here, I don't have any partial WAN connectivity, and there are devices that have no WAN connectivity in here. About health information, you can see that I have 3 normal devices with no warning, no error, working just fine. And the thing is, the transport information interface description is here. You can see that I have interfaces that are less than 10 megabit per second. Why? Because I am working inside vManage. In vManage, I have Ethernet Ethernet links because they are connected to IOU devices. Most of the devices that you see here, these routers in each side, this switch, this here, the DNS server and stuff like that, all of them are IOU devices. IOU devices do not support more than 10 megabit per second. But in real life, of course, you have gigabit per second interfaces, 10 gigabit per second interfaces, and you can see that information in here. But because I don't have them, all I have is just 10 megabit per second. This is based on the connection that I have here, and you can see the amount of utilization on the right. And some other information that you can see here. But if you want to deep dive into the information, you can go to different places. So for dashboard, you have main dashboard, but also you have VPN dashboard, which is going to tell you what kind of VPNs you have in here. I'm going to click on here. It says that there is no VPN group available because I have not created any for now. If you want to have grouping of VPNs, you can just click here and see the information. Also, about the security, you can click on here and see. One thing that you should know is about these VH devices. Not only these VH devices, but the CH devices. These are almost all-in-one packages. What I mean by that is, not only they do routing, they can do security features such as firewalling as well. So that is why you have some security features in here. You can see what the firewall enforcement is, for example, the amount of packets that have gone through firewall and been checked. Also, we have multi-cloud because I don't have any multi-clouding environment in here, so you do not see any information. The second part is very important, the monitoring about the geography. That's going to give you a map. In this map, you are going to see where the vManages are, where the vBond, vSmart, vManage are. I am not connected to the internet, so the map is not updated here. Do not see any map, but if you have the real deployment, then you are connected to the internet and you are going to see a map of the world in here, and there are pins that show you where your devices are located. That is going to be a very good indication. Most of the time, for example, you have as a matter of fact, when you speak about SD-WAN, the real reason that we have it is we have different branches in different parts of the city, state, country, or even continent or the world. So having a map is going to give you very, very nice information about what each one of those devices are going to have. Going back to here, of course, we have network, and again, some information about the devices that you have, which one is reachable, which one is not, the version, everything about the devices that you have here. And if you have a colocation cluster, of course you can see that here. I don't, so I'm not seeing. These are the managed devices that are available for me. And one thing that is interesting is the vBond. vBond is going to be a VH device that has been configured as a vBond just by one line of a command. And that's going to be the vBond, after that address, and then it says local. The local variable is going to say that this VH device is going to act as vBond. Now the next monitoring is going to be alarm, events, audit log, ACL log. Some of them which might be very interesting, not interesting as a matter of fact, because every time I just come to see events, I just have some kind of a thumping heart, which is kind of stressful, right? Because you do not really want to see these kind of red flags in here. What are the problems? How many problems you have? You just want to see everything is green, clean, and nice. So you have some critical, which is going to be this color, kind of purple, I believe. There are some major problems which are flagged by red, and some minor problems that are flagged by blue. And once again, most of the problems that I have is the reachability. That is because the amount of RAM that I have on my server is not so much that I can go and start all the devices at once. So this is what I get in here. But in real environment, all the devices should be up and running without any problem, without any warning or something like that. This one, for example, says that a warning, the system CPU usage is over 60%. It shouldn't be this much. And audit log, of course, is going to give you information about who has logged in, what are the users that have done some configuration and stuff like that. And some other stuff which you might want to check here. From configuration menu, there are stuff that most of the time you go through in the beginning of your onboarding. For example, the devices that you have, you can see a list of devices. You can just click on each one of these headers to see. For example, if I just click on a state, these are the devices that have received the certificates and they are working. I can upload vManage list from here. This is what you have received from Cisco website as the list of the devices and the certificates that have been issued for them. You can just click on this upload vManage list. Like I said, here there is a checkbox for validate. If you just do not click that, you're going to have this validate button at the end. Of course, not here in the certificates. And then you need to validate the certificate. Otherwise, the onboarding is not going to complete. But if you just put a check next to that, all of them are going to be valid in the beginning without any problem. They are going to be deployed. You can just change the mode for a device to something else. Let's say that I have a controllers list here. vSmart is one of them. If I just go to vManage mode, the vSmart is going to be templatized. That's going to receive the commands from vManage. It is no longer going to allow you to configure through the CLI. So most of the time you just go to vManage like this, vSmart like this. You can just let me log in. 1, 2, 3. you can see show run, and all the policies that you have created, all the configuration that you have done, all the templates that you have configured are going to be here. For example, I have just created a policy that says corporate network VPN direct internet access. You can see that right here. You can do configuration from here, but most people do not really feel in the mood to type these commands when there is a graphical user interface that they can do most of the things through here. So what they do is they go to here and they change it to vManage mode. So here, of course, I have done it before. You can see that it says vSmart. The name is vSmart1. This is the system IP, the site ID, and the mode is already in vManage. And I have an initial template applied to that. The initial template, of course, was all the commands that I can see through the show run. In the beginning, I just applied it back to itself, and then after that, anything that I had, would be imposed on it. So these are the controllers that you can see. If you want to add more controllers, you can just click on here and say you want to add vBond or vSmart. vManagers, of course, are going to be built in a cluster, so you do not really go to add vManage through here. The next thing inside configuration is going to be certificate, which is very important. Also, you have TLS SSL security in here, but I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to go to certificates. I showed you the certificates before. This is the list of certificates, and in the end, you can see the valid, invalid buttons, the controllers that I have installed, and the TLS proxy if I have configured any TLS proxy, which I have not right now. And also the network design is going to create a network design for you. You can see that you can attach devices for each one of them. Just by starting the create network, you're going to go and create the type of network that you want to have. Let's say, for example, I have a data center. I'm going to click on this data center. I can just add different places in this. Next is going to be templates. Templates are going to be very important. I have created templates for vManages and some templates for vSmart. That is because my vSmart is in vManage mode right now, but the vManages are going to be run by templates. There are reasons for creating templates. After all, everything is going to be automated. We do not really want to have configuration of these WAN edges by the administrators in each one of those branches. And we just consider those administrators entry-level administrators or administrators that do not have a lot of knowledge about these devices. So what we are going to do is to centralize the management. And SD-WAN, as a matter of fact, is going to be a centralization of all the management. This is all about centralization. So what we need to do is to make sure that these are going to have a unified, a uniform kind of a configuration. You can see that what I have is all of them, for example, have their GE01 connected to VPN1. They might have another interface like GE02, for example, connected to VPN, I don't know, 10, whatever. And GE00 is connected to the, carrier, whatever the carrier is in here. Most of the time it's going to be a normal internet connection because SD-WAN is relying on this kind of a connection. You can go through MPLS, but of course, the internet is enough reliable to, depend on and to have this configuration applied for that. So when you have this kind of settings, you can easily say that I'm going to create a template of commands and I'm going to apply that template to all of these devices. There are going to be some variables. Let's say, for example, the IP address that we are going to assign to each one of the interfaces are going to be different. What I'm going to do is to have those variables filled when I am applying this configuration. And after that, everything is going to be okay. The rest of the configuration is going to be done by vManage, and push to vSmart, and vSmart is going to distribute it to all V edges. So that is why we create templates. Creating templates is very easy. You can have device templates, or you can have feature templates. Most of the time, feature templates are going to be created through device templates, but you can just create some feature templates and then add it to already created device templates as well. You can see that I have some templates, for example, for NTP server, for VPN 0, for VPN 1, for interfaces, for example, for the routing protocol and stuff like that. I can create more templates, and a bunch of those templates have been grouped and applied to vManage devices. You can see that this one, of course, is, for example, the general configuration for vManage devices. So they have been applied to 4 of these vManage devices. If I know that these vManage devices are going to receive the same kind of a configuration, then I put a template and add those configuration to this template. Otherwise, let's say, for example, I have a vManage in data center. I have not created a template for this. This is not templatized. The reason is the kind of configuration that I'm going to add to this is unique to this device and cannot be similar to other devices. So I do not really apply any template on this. I can just manage this through the CLI itself. But others, of course, should be managed inside vManage. The next thing other than templates that you are going to spend a lot of time in is going to be policies. Now, policies are going to be the commands that you are going to apply to those devices, kind of templates. But let's say that policies are going to decide how the traffic is going to be treated. Most of the time, the policy is going to speak about traffic. Let's say, for example, I want to make sure that these sites can talk to data center, but they cannot talk to each other. I'm going to create a policy for that. Let's say that I'm going to have some VPNs here. Let's say VPN 1 and VPN 2. In each one of these sites, I'm going to make sure that VPN 1 can talk to other sites, VPN 2 cannot talk. That's another type. Or I might say that these devices can have direct internet access or internet access through data center. All of these are going to be policies that you apply, and policies like templates are commands that you apply to different vManage devices to make sure that traffic is going to behave as you wish. Now, the kind of policy that you create is centralized or localized. Localized means that you are going to apply it to 1 or 2 devices only. Let's say 1 by 1, not 1 or 2 devices. You're going to apply this to 1 device. If you want to have on other devices, it's going to be kind of separate. Centralized policy means that you're going to apply it to multiple devices at once. For example, if I want to have a policy for internet access for these sites, I'm going to assign a policy to all these sites. That's going to be a centralized policy. But for this vManage site, I'm going to assign a localized policy because this is, like I said, a unique one in here. So again, you can create a policy using add policy, and you can see that in the beginning you can have different types of policies. You can create some lists, such as the list of applications. You can see that there are some built-in lists before you can you install this. All of them are going to be here. You can use them. You can have some custom application if you want to add it here. Also, the applications that are discovered through clouds, such as Office 365 or stuff like that. So the beauty of SD-WAN is not only does it understand the network configuration, it understands the applications as well, which means that that's going to be kind of application aware solution, which is very interesting. Color means that colors by themselves do not have any meaning. When you create a color list, you most of the time indicate the type of traffic that you, not the type of traffic, the type of transport that you have. if your transport is going to go through the internet, you can say that this is one color. Internet is going to be one color. Whatever color you assign to that, doesn't really matter. That's just a name. If it goes through MPLS, you say, for example, the color is MPLS. If you use some other type of, transportation, then you assign another type of color to that. So color, most of the time, indicates the type of transport that you have. Also, there are some other things that you can easily create. For example, the list of VPNs, for example. I already have VPN 1. I can have some other VPN lists as well. The transport locations, which are going to be each one of these WAN edges. You can just create lists of them. For example, if I want to have this vManage site to import in one list, I can just put them in one list. I have some site lists, for example. I have, for example, data center, which is in site 1, and all other branches can be any number between 2 and 1000. I have some prefix lists and data prefix lists. These two are different. Prefix list is going to be for control plane. Data prefix is going to be for, let's say, data plane. And you can see that I have created data prefix, which indicates the RFC 1918 IP address list, and stuff like that can be created through this list. And after that, you can create a topology, which means that which of the devices are going to be inside this and in what style. And then you're going to configure the traffic rules, which means that you say, for example, from this VPN to this VPN I'm allowing, from this VPN to this VPN I'm dropping the traffic, and stuff like that are going to be configured here. And in the end, you're going to apply the policy to sites and VPNs. Let's go back to here to configuration. You have security configuration, which means that you're going to add a security policy and some other stuff like cloud on ramp and stuff like that. Some tools such as SSH terminal. You can see that I am connected to all of these devices using Secure CRT. That's the terminal software. But the thing is, I cannot really use this in real, let's say, implementation. The thing is, the type of traffic that it is going to send and receive should be allowed in the, let's say, lots of different things that push me not to use this. But if I want to have, you can see that inside configuration I have SSH terminals. I can just click on that. The devices that are available, I can click on them, and this is going to give me a CLI through which I can just connect to devices. And of course, the bad thing about this is I need to zoom in a lot to see what is going on inside this, and I don't really want this. And some other thing, let's say, for example, I want to connect to VH Site 1. I can click on that. The tab is going to open for me, and I'm going to see the configuration here. I can just type in the username and password and have the connections that I have inside this terminal software, which is much cooler and better, as a matter of fact. The next tool is going to be rediscoveration of network, template migration, operational commands, which are going to be using their own situations. Then I have the maintenance, which is interesting. Software repository is going to be the list of software that you have received from a Cisco website. You can just click on this add new software. This is going to be on a remote server or on vManage or on remote vManage. Let's say I'm going to use it on vManage. I can just drop it and upload it to vManage here, and then this is going to be saved there, and I can apply it when I want to apply it to these devices. I can have some virtual images here and firmware for upgrading. You can see that. Also, when you want to upgrade, you just go to maintenance and go to software upgrade. From here, you can select the devices one by one or in a group and then upgrade it. Let's say, for example, I click on this and I can just click on upgrade or upgrade virtual image because I have not saved anything inside repository, so you can see that the repository is going to be empty and this is not going to give me an image. But when you want to upgrade the devices, first of all, you should go through the requirements to make sure that first of all you meet those requirements, and those images that you are going to download can be applied to your devices. And also there are some other considerations that you need to take into account when you are doing this. And if you want to reboot a device, you can click on this. Device reboot is going to give you the list of devices. You can just click on that and then click on reboot. Let's say that, for example, the device is overwhelmed, it is not responding, it is hanged or something like that. You can just go with this option. And also the security options, of course, are going to be there. And finally, we have the administration part. The settings is one of the places that you meet when you are setting up Cisco vManage. There are some information that you need to create before you install the certificate on vManage, and after that you install the certificates on all of the devices. Let's say the organization name is going to be here, the vBond, IP address, the port number, and some other things. Like, let's say, for example, one of those important parts are going to be here, the tenancy mode, that is single tenant in this case, of course. vManage can be multi-tenant. And in Cisco online vManage site parts, they're using multi-tenancy. One vManage can be shared with different, let's say, SD-WAN solutions. Also, the other thing that might be interesting is going to be what? This enterprise feature certificate authorization, and also the vManage cloud certificate authorization, which is automated. These are the stuff that you might want to check in here. You can manage users. There's only one user in my case, admin, but if you have multi-tenancy, for sure you are going to see lots of different users. And you can just click here to see different options for those users. Or if you want to create a user, you can just click on here and then add it to a group if you want to, and the resource group that you are going to assign to that can be created right here. Also, you have cluster management. If you have more vManages, in your case, I have only one, but you see that vManage can be added here. You remember that you could go to configuration, click on devices to add vBond and vSmart, but for vManages, you need to create vManage inside administration cluster management in here. Also, root CA management is going to be important. I have a CA, which is this caalex.org. This is the server that I have received the certificate from. And also some disaster recovery VPN groups can be created here. You saw that I didn't have a VPN group, but you can create it here, VPN segments and stuff like that. So you can see that most of the things that you want can be created right here. The user which is logged in down here, admin, you can click on that and you can receive some information about that. If you want to reset the password, you can do that. If you want to sign out, you can do that. And of course, some other stuff that you need to click on that's going to open, for example, vAnalytics for your network and receive some information about this. This was an overview of the Cisco vManage, specifically on vTela devices. You can see that each one of the parts that I have opened serves a different purpose. One thing about Cisco GUIs is they are not very self-explanatory, and to do some stuff you need to meet different places, and that is going to be confusing at times. But anyways, everything that you need is inside this vManage. You do not really need to go to CLI commands and open them to enter the commands. So that's almost everything that I wanted to tell you about the overview of this.